How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Comics CC Studio Live. I am your host, Brent, and this is another episode. And today I am solo, and we are actually going to be talking about two things today. One, we are going to be talking about Spider Man Brand New Day, but we are also going to be talking about the first episode of Lanterns. And is it worth it? Is it not? And as you can see in my background here, I've got a couple props. I've got my awesome Superman poster over there, but I've also got a cosplay of Spider Man right there. And also on this side, I've got a lantern you can see. It is not green, but it's a lantern. So, hey, it kind of fits the bill. Also, as I'm doing this live, I'm solo today. Like I said, Dylan and he's feeling a bit under the weather. So, if you're a praying person, pray for Dylan just to be well. The main thing is let's see here. The main thing is that he would get better. Yeah. So today, let's see here. He's feeling a bit under the weather, so if you're a praying person, pray for Dylan. Okay, sorry about that. I'm going to be doing this live, and so if you have any questions or comments along the way and want to join in, feel free to do that as well, and I'll be keeping an eye on the chat on my iPad. So let's get into it first. Spider-Man, Brand New Day. Overall, I would say I'd probably give it a 7 or 8 out of 10. Some people may give it a 9 or 10 out of 10, and that's great. I hope you really enjoyed it. It seems like people are enjoying it. I want to say one of my friends, coworkers, he was telling me that he thinks, I'm going to turn this up just a little bit. There we go. He thinks that it might be the first movie to pass $3 billion in the box office. Now, I don't know exactly as far as box office. You know, people are like, well, of course it is because of inflation and all that. And that's true enough, but $3 billion, no matter how much you slice it, if that's a potential goal, then I would just say that that's a lot of people seeing this thing. Probably, I'm guessing more than once because I don't know if just one-time showings. Maybe it is. Maybe just the theaters are so packed everywhere each time. But I'm sure that I think I've already seen or heard of people say they've seen it multiple times. And so I'm sure it was a lot of that. And so I didn't grow up necessarily a Spider-Man fan. And so for me, I might be a little bit biased is coming at this from just the other movies, as far as why my score isn't higher. But we'll talk about maybe some more of that tomorrow. But I think today I want to talk about the overall story and was it good? Did they get the pieces right? And then I think tomorrow maybe Dylan and I will break down a little bit more of the characters as well as some more of the story and really just getting his perspective. And so starting out, let's see here. You see him. I'm trying to think even. I've only seen it once and I saw it Thursday, so this is all just based on memory. Um, oh, that's right. Starting out, you saw him doing a lot of like little saves, being Spider Man. And of course, at this point, you know, Peter Parker is erased from people's memory. If you've seen No Way Home, or is it Far From Home? Far From Home, No Way Home, Homecoming. I think it was No Way Home, the Doctor Strange one. Um, I probably should have rewatched that too, but I did just recently watch Far From Home, the one where they're overseas, and that's actually pretty good with Mysterio. So, anyways, so the events are Peter Parker is no longer, I'm sure you know if you've seen the movie, he's no longer essentially in people's minds, but Spider Man still is. So he's being Spider Man, right? And I think it's fun at the beginning how he does these little quips about the villains. There's one thing where he pulls out a piano and he's like, "Here, let me change your tune, or this will change your tune, or something to the effect of tuning and pulling out the piano." So I do like how there's a lot of quips because as I've been last week, Dylan and I discussed Spider-Man Brand New Day. We actually discussed about the comic book, and in that comic book, there are a lot of quips, I guess, and maybe he has them in some of the first ones, a little bit, but this one it felt like they were right away. They were highlighting they were highlighting the quips of Spider-Man as far as him fighting all those people or whatever. I guess Tombstone was one of the characters. I'm not as familiar with him, so tomorrow maybe we'll get a little bit about that. But it wasn't a long plot, but it was just some of the villains he was fighting. So overall, the beginning I thought was good. It didn't really grab me till about halfway through the film, which it's funny. I feel like most of the movies nowadays do that. So I'm like, maybe I should just show up halfway through versus all the way through. Just kidding. Because I think you do need the setup of the story to kind of get the payoff. But then, yeah, this mysterious, Peter's not feeling great, but also there's this mysterious new something. And you don't really know what it is throughout the movie. And I think overall it's like okay, what is this going to be? Like is it going to be like a ghost? Is it going to be supernatural? And didn't really know to start off. I guess I should have said spoiler warning. So if you've not seen Spider-Man Brand New Day yet, I would definitely recommend that you would maybe watch this later cuz it'll definitely have some spoilery stuff in it. But yeah, so he's facing some new threat. He doesn't understand it and he can't figure out like how does it even know he's Peter Parker and all these other things. But it talks about getting inside of his head and is not able to, but it says I will, right? And for some reason he's unable to. This mysterious new threat is unable to, as it apparently is like almost possessing people or controlling them or whatever. Of course, we know what that is later on in the movie, why that is. Very big plot point, I think. So that is kind of and then he's going through changes as well, right? Kind of one of my good friends actually, or the person I was talking to about the $3 billion potentially for Spider-Man was also saying he likes it how it kind of parallels Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire a little bit. And this is a great point I hadn't thought about, where he was really trying to get rid of the Spider-Man side, and so that was affecting his abilities as Spider-Man. Where this is trying to get rid of his Peter Parker side, and so it's affecting his abilities as Peter Parker, and he's becoming more and more of kind of this, I guess, Spider-Man, if you will, or Man Spider, I think is the actual term from the comic books, and we'll talk more about that tomorrow, I'm sure. So kind of a parallel there between the Tobey Maguire one, and so yeah. So moving on, of course, this thing eventually inhabits, Mary Jane, and then, or not Mary Jane, but MJ, and also takes control and all these things. And then, of course, you see Frank, the Punisher, the Hulk, those different characters. One of the things as far as storyline goes that I didn't necessarily like was they had Black Widow in there. Excuse me, I'm going to take a drink here. Okay, so they had Black Widow in there, but she really didn't do much. And I think for me, I would have liked to have seen her actually do a little bit of something, like have her fighting on the street and she gets a phone call. She's like, "Hey, it's Peter. I need to ask you," or it's Spider-Man. "I need to ask you a question." Something to that degree. And excuse me. Yeah, really just ask, like, have her doing something other than just like in a sauna or whatever. I think that would have been, for me at least, more of a reason to have her in there other than just, oh, I'm just chilling and I'm going to say the potato line. And that's fine. I think people really love that line. When I heard it, I was like, didn't do as much for me, but that's okay. To each their own, right? So yeah, I would have wanted to see her more like in action, or something I was thinking about. If you think back to the first Avengers movie, her sister Black Widow, Natasha, is actually doing like is an interrogation on some guys, and she gets a phone call, and it's Coulson calling her to come in because Barton's been compromised. And she's like, hold on, let me put you on hold. So, like, I would have loved a callback to that scene as well if you could have figured out a way where she's fighting and then Peter comes in, she's like, just give me a brief minute, and then she does what she does, kicks butt, and then she's like, okay, Peter, what do you need? Or not Peter, but she doesn't know at this point, but what do you need, Spider-Man? She obviously knows who Spider-Man is, but apparently doesn't know who Peter Parker is either, but I digress. And a big question that I will have tomorrow for Dylan is that I will be wondering and talking about, does Ned, this is kind of jumping, so I'm kind of jumping around here, but does Ned know who Peter is? Because the way that it ends is kind of, you're not 100% sure. But also, like someone said to me, like Doctor Strange's mind wipe was pretty complete. However, I will also say, if you remember back to No Way Home, with the all three Spider-Men, that Ned had a little bit of magic. He was able to operate the sling ring that Doctor Strange had. So is there a chance that this, if you have a magic ability, you don't remember? But at the same time, I look at the end and I say, well, I mean, it's possible he knows, but also the way he says it, it could have just been like, oh, we just did this cool thing. I don't know how you know that. I'm glad that you do, but oh, Peter. Okay, right. That's your name. Cool. And you know my handshake. Somehow we know how to do this. And yeah. Or he's like, I did that with my best friend. How did you know that? Oh, well, you're Peter Parker. Okay. So I think it leaves it a little bit ambiguous, I suppose. And I think that's the right word. Just where you're not 100% sure if Ned knows or not. I would like to think that he does, but at the same time, is that going to pay off in Avengers Doomsday or in the Avengers Secret Wars? Hopefully, we'll find out. And that'll either pay off or we'll be like, yeah, Ned never really knew. But so, next director, whichever movie, is going to have Peter in it, we need to address the Ned thing. Or you could have done an end credit scene. I don't know. What are your thoughts on when they kind of leave something hanging? Like, I think I've heard Tom Holland's going to be Spider-Man for a couple more movies. So, and if I would assume that they would have these other characters in there as well. And so I think, yeah, to really flesh that out and pay that off, I think would be important. I did feel like, as far as this movie went overall, there was a lot of callbacks to other films. There was the scene where MJ kisses him with only half of his mask. Of course, at this point, it is not him. It is not her. It is Jean, which that's kind of weird in itself, right? And but it's still kind of called back to the original Spider-Man. Of course, her falling. I think that is like MJ falling off the building, kind of call back uh, to Gwen Stacy falling off the building. So I think there was a lot of callbacks, a lot of things that were familiar. I will say, when Frank first showed up, it was almost like, kind of went to me when Lobo first showed up. It's like, oh, he's here. He's kind of doing his thing. And I'm also not a Punisher fan. No offense to any Punisher fans. I'm sure like this guy is great in your mind. I do think later in the story, I really enjoyed, like when they were in his a kind of his hideout, things of that nature. That part was good. But to me, the beginning was like, I don't know. Sometimes the way they introduce characters in these movies, I suppose. I thought the way they introduced Dr. Banner, I thought that was great. That was very organic. But with Frank, it just seemed like, oh, we're going to talk about stuff that we did in the past, but it's off screen. And I mean, I'm sure if I were to think about it, there's other Marvel stuff that they do that with. But I just would have rather, like, maybe Spider-Man's fighting, Frank shows up and wants to do it his way, which kind of he does, but then they call back to something else that you never really see. Maybe we'll see a flashback at some point, maybe we won't. Yeah, so I didn't necessarily care the way that Frank showed up, but and then Spider-Man just kind of like takes him out. Like, I don't know how comic book accurate that is. Yes, I know the webbing is strong and all this stuff, but like, come on, he's the Punisher. Like, surely he's got backups and backups and backups. Like his booby traps or whatever in his hideout, right? Let's see, they trip one. There was another one. He's like, watch out for these things. Like, all these things. Like he doesn't have superpowers, so he's got to use his brains and his wits about him. But maybe he is like that. I don't know. But yeah, I didn't necessarily care for that. I would have liked maybe him to show up either later in the movie or whatever. But yeah, the way Bruce Banner shows up, I thought was great. I thought what they did with the Hulk, as far as the storyline, made sense. Like it wasn't just like, okay, we have, and it was very interesting how at first when he showed up, he was still Smart Hulk, right? Hulk. I thought that was really interesting, a really interesting point. And then because of what Jean Grey did, that to me that felt like a natural story in and of itself. Okay, I've got all these things under control, but then something happens inside of me. And which will be also interesting if they do another Spider-Man with Tom Holland. And on this storyline, will there be side effects to what she did, right? Um, and then will Jean have to fix all those things? So also Jean Grey, like X-Men introducing organically, like they did that already in the Marvels. It was another world or another universe that Monica Rambeau went to, which by the way, is she coming back for Doomsday? I don't know. If you know whether Monica Rambeau and Miss Marvel as well as Captain Marvel are all coming back, comment below because I'm not 100% sure whether she is coming back or not. I would hope they pay that off. Hopefully when the X-Men show up, I'm hoping she's with them, Monica Rambeau, because why not? Like, hey, if we're gonna do a Doomsday movie, let's do it all out. Like, let's get all the characters right ever. Find a way to put them in somewhere. Um, yes. So, but this is not a Doomsday. But all that to say, I do think it was an interesting way to show up Jean. She's not fully developed yet in her powers, and so I think story wise, it makes sense. Like, oh, I've got to figure all this out, and I'm going after this thing that I don't know what it is. And honestly, story wise, I thought what she was going after could have been some type of anti mutagen, and we've seen that, which interestingly enough, that's kind of what Peter does, right? He gives her an anti mutagen. And so, of course, he doesn't like the changes he's going through either, as, Spider Man becoming more and more of that. So he's like, I've got to get rid of this. And then it was, MJ's course. She's like, yeah, but what if what if that needs to happen? Like, what if you're suppressing something that needs to happen or whatever? Just very interesting as far as that goes. And so it kind of backfires on him, obviously, with Jean Grey. And it's like, oh, okay. But I think as far as her introduction into the MCU and the X-Men's introduction, I thought it was good. Could they have thrown in one or two other X-Men? The new Charles Xavier, Magneto, other people going like, right at the end, Jean, we know who you are, and we've been keeping an eye on you, something like that. Even just a voice could have even changed the voice later on if that's not who you're going to cast as Charles Xavier. But yeah, so that I thought went well. I'm trying to think who are the other characters. I kind of like the storyline with Spider-Man talking to I don't know if it's the police captain or who she is, but I like that relationship there because it gives Peter someone to talk to as he's going through. And also I'm like, so that was fun. And also there was a couple different characters in there. I'm like, is that going to be Miles? Is that going to be Miles? Like, all right, we're now in Spider-Man, what, 3? 4, the 4th Spider-Man, and we still don't have an introduction to Miles Morales. Let's get it together, Marvel. I just praised you on one of my other talks about going ahead with Black Panther and continuing that legacy. I'm like, right, but you also got Miles, so let's go. And yeah, so I think, excuse me. By the way, this is a pretty awesome Captain America shirt. It's my Marvel representation. I don't have a Spider-Man shirt yet. Hold on a second. I'm gonna. Yeah, so see if you see. There we go. Anyways, that's my Marvel shirt. I don't have one yet. I obviously have a cosplay, but was not going to wear that today. Yeah, so those were just some of the points that I kind of liked as far as the storyline went. I think that was good. Um, Yeah, I think it was a good overall. The stories I think was pretty well. Is there anything I would have done different other than maybe like again with the Black Widow or the White Widow, whatever, Yelena? I think I would have done something different with that. I think Frank, I would have introduced him in another way. Yes, there's always the heroes fighting, then working together trope. Like, let's just, I don't know, can we get a movie or two where we get over that, where they're just working together no matter what? Like, the next movie, James Gunn, and this is to whoever, right? Like, let's have the heroes work together and not fight. Like, I know that's a trope. I know everybody, maybe everybody loves it. Some people like it. I don't personally. I'm like, just put them together. Spider Man and Punisher, like, yeah, they have different methods, but they're still work. He's still going to let Frank help him. But even that might tie into the story of his kind of humanity going away. And so, yeah, I think even that could be, even his, yeah, with his humanity going away, I think that maybe that is the reason why, he wasn't as willing to let Frank help him or whatever. So as far as Spider-Man goes, so next, and then yeah, so I think I'll leave it right there as far as Spider-Man. The end credit scene was pretty unique, showing Spider-Man in space, for sure. So I think that's where I'm gonna leave it, and then Dylan and I will break it down a little bit more tomorrow. As far as Brand New Day goes, but I want to switch gears a little bit, as you can see in the corner here. Lanterns also premiered, and I watched it. Now, I will say I was on my phone. I might need to watch it again. I might need to watch it again on the TV because maybe that'll give me a different experience. Overall, and this is no offense to Lanterns, I hope it does really well, but I feel like the first episode didn't kind of drew me in, but not really. And this may be a completely different take on Lanterns than most everybody else. Maybe everybody else loves it, and that's great. And I will say I'm a huge proponent of Jon Stewart. But if, and this spoiler warning, if you've not seen Lanterns, you probably want to switch. Spoiler warning. So if you're going to kill off Hal Jordan on the first episode, in my opinion, why even bother? Like, I heard an interview that they wanted to really honor that legacy. They were like, oh, we'll just kill off Jordan. But I think I know what they're going to do with the ring and the construct of Hal as far as going forward. But I'm like, why not just show a 5 or 10 minute clip of, now obviously, excuse me, you're not going to cast somebody like the actor that you cast for Hal Jordan and not have him in it. Like, you're not going to pay someone like that much and just be like, oh, well, you're in it for a cameo. I get that. I mean, even at this point, you could have brought back Ryan Reynolds just for a cameo, make this specifically a Jon Stewart story. Because I am thankful that they are taking the Jon Stewart route, because I just recently talked about DC and kind of a lack of diversity a little bit in their films, whereas Marvel's got Black Panther, Blade, even into the Spider-Verse with Miles. I get there's some animated stuff, and we did have Black Lightning for 4 seasons, but overall on the movie side, I think Marvel's kind of ahead of the game a little bit there. Even just going back to Blade, excuse me. Yeah, but so I would say that I'm glad it's a Jon Stewart story. I just hope that the acting gets better. I just kind of, as far as how went, maybe not as much John. I felt like his character kind of, you didn't see a whole lot, but as far as Hal's character and the way he portrayed it, it almost felt like he was trying to be over the top. And maybe that's what they were going for, or just maybe it's going to take a minute for the actors to get in the groove. I know it's already filmed, but yeah, it didn't kind of hit me. I did think one of the very beginning scenes where they're all watching the television, that was a great scene. And then it's like, oh my gosh, they're going there. What are they doing? And it kind of twists and turns a little bit in a way that you didn't expect with the apple on the kid's head. And it's like, what the heck, what's going on here? Obviously, he's trying to make his son fearless, right? Not be afraid. If that's the one thing you need to be a Green Lantern, well, then you're going to be a Green Lantern, son. Um, yeah, so I think I don't know. I don't know that I'll quit watching. I think I'll probably give it 2 or 3 episodes, and maybe just out of intrigue, I'll watch the whole thing. It didn't grab me as much. But again, I am glad we have a Jon Stewart. If you love Lanterns, comment below because I would love to know if you loved the premiere. I personally didn't love it, but again, this is the first episode, and so it's I think 8 episodes, so they got time to kind of flesh it out. But I'm hoping things develop a little bit more, whether it be storyline, whether it be acting. I don't really know why it didn't really hit, but I do like the idea of Jon Stewart. Like let's go with that for sure. And maybe even like again, why even have Hal Jordan in it? Like let's just go straight on Jon Stewart. And I don't know if you were a Lanterns or Green Lantern fan. I'm not as much. Is it true that only one person can wield a ring at a time? I know, like in the comic books, like it was Hal Jordan, then I think Guy Gardner, and then I think Kyle Rayner, and then Jon Stewart, and maybe Hal was back in between there. I don't know exactly. So I don't know comic book continuity whether or not it is. I don't know comic book continuity whether or not there can only be one Green Lantern on Earth at a time. Because I'm like, if you can have multiple lanterns, why don't you? And maybe focus on Kyle Rayner and Jon Stewart. Like give Jon 2 or 3, 4 episodes by himself, and then Kyle Rayner comes in and also has a ring. But as far as the comic book continuity, I don't know whether you can have 2 Green Lanterns at once or not. So on that point, it makes sense to get rid of Hal Jordan. But the way, again, if you're gonna do 2 characters like that, then I don't know. It just is it too much? What do you think? Like, would you rather have just seen him do a Jon Stewart Lantern story and forget Hal Jordan? No offense to that character, but we already had a movie. Is it too much they're trying to do? I know I heard some people love the buddy cop thing. That was I don't know. It was okay. It just this first episode for whatever reason didn't really grab me. Maybe it was the story, or maybe it was the acting of the Hal guy. Again, I didn't look up. Forgive me, I didn't look up his name. But yeah, I'm not really sure why it didn't grab me, but it didn't. So I'm hoping that as the story goes along, the acting will get better, the chemistry works better. I don't know that the chemistry was bad per se or anything like that. It didn't. I don't know. What do you think? Like it didn't really grab me like that. So also, I would not recommend this show for anyone under 18 years old. Definitely not. And even then, use discretion. But overall, like there are some scenes you kind of like. For me, I'm a Christian, so I did have to flip through a scene. The language is kind of is strong. I won't not kind of strong. It is. So there's that. Yeah. So I don't know. In my opinion, if you're gonna get I know I've kind of repeated this, but if you're gonna have Hal Jordan in there, why are we killing him off first episode? To me, it's just do Jon Stewart and let's go. Why not? Like that's I think it was Justice League Unlimited or Justice League where he was the Green Lantern at the time, and so I think a lot of people grew up on Jon Stewart. So it's like, why not just go ahead and make him the main guy? So yeah, so that's my kind of overall view of Lanterns. Not great. But I mean, hopefully it gets better. Will I keep watching? Probably, just to see if anything develops or if I like it better. Maybe I should watch it on the TV. Um, as far as getting a better experience out of it. But let me know in the comments what you thought below. Also, I had this crazy thought today. I was like, what if, like, just as an experiment, Kevin Feige was like, hey James, let me come over there, help you with 2 or 3 movies, then I'll come back to Marvel. Let's see what they do. I would be interested to see, because I feel like, I don't know, with Spider-Man, somebody was telling me, oh, I think it was one of my brothers, they were like, yeah, basically this movie feels like they were listening to the fans. That Spider-Man movie, like they were just listening to fans. So I wonder, like, yeah, with DC, have they not done that as much? And hopefully James Gunn will be listening to fans. Although the Lanterns, as I was watching the previews for it, I thought, oh, this is going to be awesome. But it just didn't grab me that way. And also, I think showing too much in the previews can potentially hurt something, because you're like, okay, yeah, you want to draw people in, but also if those are all the best parts or the highlights, like why are you going to show all of that? Like to me, save some of that stuff. Excuse me. And I hope Lanterns does. So, anyway, so that's all I think for today for my solo episode. Thank you all for listening when you do. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate every single supporter. Also, if you would like early access to my episodes or just to be part of this awesome community that we're building, head over to Comics CC Studio on Patreon and please, I would ask you to join and become part of the conversation. If you've ever felt like you've been alone in your fandom, you've got comic books, but people just don't really like understand or don't talk with you, and you want really a community that is focused on nerdy things that will talk with you about these things, conventions, comics, cosplay, all these things, and other nerdy things, movies. If you want a community, come on over and join in, and then you don't have to be alone anymore. So thank you all for listening. I'm Brent for Comics CC Studio. I will CC you later. And just remember, as always, stay super and stay sticky. Thank you all for watching. Bye.